Hey, everybody, welcome to this episode of Think Business. Looking forward to talking to Mark Podolsky. Mark, it's great to connect with you, the Land Geek and author of Dirt Rich.
John, good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you. Good to see you. So, all right. So you specialize in land, build passive income in real time, working with our most successful land investment experts, thelandgeek.com. Okay. So let's talk about this. I was always told that you only make money when you invest in land when you die. So let's start there and work backwards.
Yeah. So I mean, really,
and I used to be in real estate, and that was what kind of people said. And so diffuse that.
Yeah. No, there's nothing to diffuse. If you buy land in the traditional sense,
right?
And let's call it the hockey stick model.
Yeah.
So here's land, right?
Right.
For years and years and years, you're going to buy this rural land for years and years and years. It is negative cash flow. Every year you're paying property taxes, as opposed to every other real estate niche that if you do it correctly is cash flowing. Now you buy land, there's no cash flow, and hopefully development comes and it hockey sticks up.
Yeah.
That is the land bank model, and it's terrible. So my model is different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy a piece of land 25, 35 cents on the dollar. And then, so I'm making my money on the buy. And then I'm going to sell it. So let's say it's an inexpensive piece of land. Let's just use easy math. Let's say I buy it for $2,500 and it's worth $10,000. I'm going to go to you, John, and say, hey, you can own this rural 5-acre parcel of land for $2,500 down, $249 a month at 9% interest. You're like, oh my gosh, $2,500 now, $249 a month. I can afford it. I've got a good job. I can do this. I own this 5 acres. It lasts forever. Nothing to maintain, nothing to protect. That can be destroyed. There's no restrictions. Fantastic. I'll do it. So for me, as the investor, I get my money out in the down payment. Now I'm getting $249 a month and 9% interest to say the next 60 months, and I have to deal with any renters, rehabs, renovations, or rodents. And so it's a simple game. Can I create enough of these land notes where my passive income exceeds my fixed expenses, and then I'm working because I want to, not because I have to?
Yeah. So let's talk about how to pick that piece of land, right? Is that something that you teach people on how to find it? Do you do it for them? Like, how does that work? Because there's a lot of land to buy, but which piece, will somebody, like any business, will somebody actually pay for?
Yeah, exactly. Great question. Okay, so who do I help? I'm going to help everyone along the economic spectrum. So if you have tons of time and no money, you're going to get free content like this. You go on the Think Big podcast or Think Business podcast, then you'll get this information. I have a podcast as well. We have lots of information for free. If you have a good W-2, then we'll do it with you. So we have a done with you program. And then if you're an accredited investor, you're rich, but you don't have money problems, but you have time problems, then we have a done for you program.
Yeah.
And we'll help those people as well. So to answer the question then is, there's 3,007 US counties. Like where's a good market? Well, we're going to start with a website called landmodo.com. And this is where land investors like myself go, and we list property for sale. So that's going to give us this indication, like success leaves clues, as Tony Robbins would say. Well, where are other land investors investing? And then I'm going to look at my own personal budget. So I'd like to say to our clients, based on your budget, where can you buy 5 to 7 pieces of raw land? So if I have $50,000 to start, well, I could buy $5,000, $10,000 pieces of property. But if I have $5,000 to start, I might have to go to a county where I can, lot's only $1,000. And there are counties like that. So that's where I'm going to start, is based on my budget. And then where are the other successful land investors buying land? And then I'm going to get a list from, say, a data source, right? Now you can go direct to the county. We have software where you can actually download a list and it all comes to you. And then we have an automation where you can then send out offers. But that's really the next step in the process, is getting a list of those owners in that county and sending them offers, where the philosophy is I can always make more money. I can't get more time. I don't want to be in the appraisal business. So I'm going to basically reverse engineer the market. So if I know that the market, I can sell it retail for $10,000, I'll divide by 4. That's going to give me a 300% margin of safety. I'll send a $2,500 offer, right? And so I'll do that with a pricing matrix.
Yeah. So the way you're describing it, it sounds so simple. It's complicated, maybe. And so talk about your book for a minute. And in your book, do you kind of map out the structure, the process, the how-to? Tell me a little bit about your book.
Yeah, so I have 2 books. I have Dirt Rich and Dirt Rich 2.
Okay.
So Dirt Rich is basically the what we're talking about now, like the step-by-step process of buying and selling raw land. Now, once you've implemented those strategies in Dirt Rich,
yeah,
then you go to Dirt Rich 2, which is how to scale a land business.
right.
Because the last thing I want to do is have anybody build themselves another job. So how do we use inexpensive virtual assistants, AI, software to automate and be the CEO of a land business?
I like that. You talked earlier, you said the word reverse engineer. I love that. I love those words. Reverse engineer how you got into the land business. A lot of times I used to be in commercial real estate, and I would talk about commercial real estate with my grandfather, land deals he bought, mobile home parks he was invested in, and talking to him about that stuff when he was a kid, and being in the commercial real estate space. I've talked to a lot of people who just said, like early on, I would just look at buildings and, I just wanted to, do something in that space. Not as many people say, I just look at empty land and think, oh, I want to kind of be in that space. And so how did you kind of get into the land play?
Yeah. So if we rewind the tape to 2000,
I
was a miserable, micromanaged 45-minute commute to work and back investment banker. Specializing in mergers and acquisitions with private equity groups. And John, it got so bad for me.
Which, by the way, is a very sought after job, especially in today's world. It's every college graduate who's in finance and investment banking, a dream job.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm miserable.
A lot of burnout.
It's a lot of burnout. And there's a lot of things you can't control. You have no control in these deals.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, it can be very lucrative, but it's also, you've got one life. So I'm miserable. And so this guy
you're 2000. So you're 26 years ago. You're how old?
I'm 30. Oh no, I'm 28. Whoa, no, I'm 28.
So you're 28 years old. You got this great career in investment banking, mergers, acquisitions, but miserable. Yeah. You mentioned
the only part that was good about the job was telling people I was an investment banker.
Right. Yeah. And that carries a lot of weight. But you mentioned a Tony Robbins, success leaves clues earlier. One of my favorite Tony Robbins quotes is success without fulfillment equals failure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's how I'm feeling.
Right. So you're 28, you're feeling that. Okay, go ahead. And where was your office?
In Phoenix.
Okay.
So basically my firm hires this guy, and he's telling me as a side hustle, he's buying up raw land, pennies on the dollar at these tax deed auctions. He's flipping them online, and he's making a 300% return on his investment. And John, I'm looking at companies all day long, and a great company, has 15% EBITDA margins, free cash flow. Average company's 10%. I'm looking at companies all day long, less than 10%.
Yeah.
So of course I don't believe them. I've got $3,000 saved up for car repairs. I go to New Mexico with him. I do exactly what he tells me to do. I buy 10 half-acre parcels at an average price of $300 each. I flip them online, and they all sell for an average price of $1,200 each. 300%. It worked. So I took all that money. I went to another auction where I live in Arizona. Again, this is 2000. There's no one in the room. I buy lots of acres for nothing, and I made over $90,000 on this one auction. So I go to my pregnant wife. I said, honey, I'm going to quit my job and become a full-time land investor. And she said, absolutely not. So I said, okay.
Right.
So it took 18 months for the land investing income to exceed the investment banking income.
Yeah.
And then I quit. And I've been doing it, full time ever since. Done over 6,500 land deals, and still absolutely, love it, because we're in this inefficient market, and there's just very few of them.
So what was it about? I just want to get to the moment, that moment where you're like, this is real, this is something, and then you put the time and the energy into it, right? So a lot of people would be, in my opinion, based on people I talk to, be stuck in the ego of wanting to be an investment banker, right? That carries a lot of prestige in that whole space. And so to the getting present and the zen of walking away from that, right? And so how did you kind of like come to terms with your ego on that? And then how did you kind of jump in, where I'm sure people after you jumped said you're crazy, and now they say you're brilliant, right? So just reconcile all of that.
Yeah, I mean, no one's saying I'm brilliant today. My parents are still worried.
Yeah.
Are you okay? Right? Like, are you sure this thing? Right? So, but I would say that I was just that unhappy at this job, and certainly I had a big ego at the time, and I tried my hardest to have one foot in and one foot out. So I tried to negotiate, like let me stay on as a consultant. Like I didn't want to come in every day. I didn't want to be somewhere at a certain time, put on the monkey suit, and all that. I just wanted to do what I wanted to do. And so my dad, my grandfather were entrepreneurs, and so I think I had that in me. And it just, having a job never really took. And even as a kid, I was entrepreneurial. I was the kid that, went door to door selling, cookies, and then to the neighbors. And I had a lemonade stand. And in high school, if you wanted to get a boutonniere or corsage for prom, you had to go through me. I was like the corsage mafia. And then in college, if I needed money, I sold T-shirts. And so I was kind of thing after thing after thing. And so, I'd been doing this really since I was like 11 years old. Yeah. And so having a job never really, for me, took, even though the job I had was quote unquote pretty good for the ego. And again, you're right. It was hard to let go of it. And I stayed in that job 5 years too long. Let me ask you a question. So where'd you go to school? Indiana University. Oh, my son went to IU. Yeah. Okay. So great school. So great school, Mendoza, everything's amazing. I love IU. So what class would you teach at IU, whether it be Kelley Business School or just regular college, that they don't teach today that you think needs to be taught? Wow, no one's asking me this question. I think they need to teach the softer skills, awareness, flexibility, because if I'm going to teach an entrepreneurial class, can you eat glass for 3 years? Yeah. Right. Resilience, persistence, validation. Yeah. Don't take anything personally. Like, everything's a test, and sort of like this idea that business is a mirror of you. Like your business only grows as much as you grow. Yeah. And you're the limitation on this. Correct. And I think that would be the class I would be interested in. So let's talk about this a little bit more. On March 10th, 2026, Fortune magazine just put this article out with the title, "Bosses are firing Gen Z grads just months after hiring them. Here's what they say needs to change." After complaining for years that Gen Z grads are difficult to work with, businesses are no longer all talk, no action. Now they're rapidly firing younger workers who aren't up to scratch just months after hiring them. The numbers are stark, yada, yada. Intelligent.com, a platform dedicated to helping young professionals navigate the future of work, surveyed nearly 1,000 U.S. business leaders. It found that the class of 2024's shortcomings are shaping how bosses hire next. And here's what they have to say.
Lack of motivation or initiative. 50% of leaders surveyed cited that is the reason why things didn't work out with their new hire. Also, being unprofessional, unorganized, and having poor communication skills is top reasons for having to, per the article, sack grads.
Yeah, lack of soft skills.
So let's talk about that. There's I recently listened to a podcast, David Senra, which I don't know if you listen to Founders podcast or I think it's the greatest podcast, Founders or David Senra. And David Senra interviewed Brian Armstrong, who's the CEO of Coinbase. And one of the things Brian was talking about was that many colleges right now are teaching kids to be activists, and then they come into the workplace after they graduate and they try to be activists, and they don't have the, per your conversation, soft skills to really make it. What do we do about that?
Well, that's a big question.
You're talking about selling raw land and buying raw land, and this is raw. This is pretty raw of what I think we need to, as business people, we all have kind of a responsibility. But what would your suggestions be for a new lens on this?
Well, look, you're a parent, I'm a parent, and I would say to my kids, look, I'm a very big believer in higher education and education. But let's be honest, right? You don't need college. You just don't.
Well, college is for networking. It's great for networking.
It's percolating. You're percolating as a human.
Right. And I think education is critical. It's crazy expensive, but it's I think education is great. But college really is building a network.
It's building a network, right? Exactly. So, yeah, let's just keep quoting people, right? You're the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. Jim Rohn,
yeah.
Right? So if you buy into that, but before you go to college, I feel like your job as a parent is to sit down with your child and let them know your expectations of this experience. And what your professor is really going to teach you is how to be a professor. That's it, because that's what they know how to do. They're not going to teach you how to get a job, how to work in the workforce, any of those skills, because they personally don't do it.
I'm a business coach. I coach companies all over the globe, but I have a second business called Launch 3. It's a free platform of micro courses to just help people get ahead. Launch-3.com, and it's there because when my business partner and myself, we have kids the same age, they were graduating college and they didn't know exactly what you're talking about. I mean, I think my kids knew and his kids knew more because we had been talking about it more, but in front of it a little bit more. But it's a problem, and I talk to so many kids who graduate or are about to graduate college, who don't know how to interview, don't know. Any of that. It's mind-boggling to me. It's mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, so I think it starts in the home. I think that if and to your point, like, you can't just lecture kids,
right?
They're not going to listen to you, but they'll see the way you do things. Take them out, right? Do a mock interview with them,
right?
If you're, take them to work with you, make comments, kind of just show them, just in your day-to-day interactions, and then get their feedback on it and see what they thought and listen to them and spend that time with them so that they understand that there's the university world is an island. It is not the real world, and it's okay. It's great. It's be the best years of your life. Fantastic. But don't bring that into a work setting. And during that time, hopefully summers, I like the idea of a sweet and sour summer, where half the summer is sour. It's like, hey, if you can't get through this right, these are some jobs that you'll have to work.
Yeah.
And they're really hard. And then the sweet, right? Here's what it looks like in a nice air-conditioned office.
Yeah.
And this, it can be great. And you can make a lot of money.
Yeah. I hope that colleges start, that it's not the outlier professor that teaches kids a lot of this stuff too. I agree with you. It starts at home. Some people may or may not have the skill set to actually teach. So hopefully, universities will start teaching more classes like this, and so we can really get these kids prepared for the real world. All right, let's talk a little bit more about your business. Who are your ideal clients?
My ideal clients. So as far as who are going to buy the land from me, or who am I going to?
Your programs, reach out to you, all that.
Yeah, I think it's the ideal client is the person who wants to solve not just their money problems, but their time problems.
Yeah.
I would consider them a second mountain person. So have you read the book by David Brooks, The Second Mountain?
No, but I know about it because I've watched a lot of videos of him. Yeah.
Okay, so the first mountain is more like we were talking about before, egoic, which, by the way, I think is very important in your 20s and 30s. So the egoic mountain is what our culture tells us to do, right? We do what our parents tell us to do. We get a good education. We get a good job.
Yeah.
We get the house. We get the cars. We go on vacations. We get the white picket fence. And we get to the top of that mountain. And to your point, it's very unfulfilling.
Yeah.
And then we jump to the second mountain. And the second mountain is a way harder mountain to climb, but it's way more fulfilling. And so it's about vocation. It's about community. It's about your faith and spirituality. It's about love and intimacy. And there's no top to that mountain. Yeah. And so I think the people that we attract the most are second mountain people.
Yeah.
They've done the first mountain, and then they realize, okay, if I can get my passive income to exceed my fixed expenses, I don't create a job for myself, I can then have the time and the energy and the resources to climb that second mountain. Right. I can be present with my family.
Yeah.
I can help my community. I can go internally and do things that I really love and help other people. And it's other focused.
Good. I love it. All right. Quick speed round. You just mentioned that book. Is there another book that made a big impact on you?
The One Thing by Gary Keller.
That's a great one. Yeah. That's a really, really great book. I love that book. My business coach recommended that to me 20 some years ago. I love that book. Yeah. Best piece of wisdom you've ever received?
Life is not a dress rehearsal. My mom.
Good job. Good one, Mom. All right. Last question. Finish the sentence. One thing every entrepreneur needs to do to really take the step into that next second mountain is?
Be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Good. That's a good one. Mark, this was great. I enjoyed this conversation. Think Community, you can learn more about Mark at thelandgeek.com. You can reach me at johndwoskin.com. Mark, this was great. I appreciate your time and your insights. I appreciate your thoughts on business, your story to get you to the freedom you wanted to, the risk that you took to do that, the ego work that you did to get out of your past world into your new world. Think Community, we talk a lot about freedom and doing what you want to do to get your fulfillment and your freedom. Mark, you mentioned earlier Tony Robbins' quote, "Success leaves clues." What I love about books, they're clues for a very nominal price and a path and a process. If you want to check out Mark's book, you can. Dirt Rich 2, again, thelandgeek.com. Mark, thanks, man. This was awesome. I loved it. Thanks.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.